Are you a Tableau developer or aspiring to become a data analyst? Ever found yourself in an interview facing unexpected questions that have nothing to do with your project? Stay tuned because in this tutorial we are going to reveal the secrets to tackle those curveball questions like pro. In this tutorial, today we are going to discuss about challenges you have faced during your migration, which you have explained just now into the series. If you look the series, you will get to know that what migration project I'm talking about. Then we will be the next topic or the next question, which is probably interviewer will ask you explain the ETL process or what is ETL. So we will be discussing that as well. Okay, so stay tuned and please don't skip any part of the video because it is going to be very important video. But that's not all I have for you. If you are on a journey to become a data analyst, we have got something special for you. We offer a 3 months online course that's tailored for bachelor degree holders, whether you come from a technical or a non-technical background. It's your gateway to mastering the world of data analysis and Tableau expertise. Don't miss this opportunity to boost your interview skills and expand your data analysis capabilities. If you are watching this video on Saturdays or on Sundays, you can directly join my demo classes for free of cost. Link is in the description, which will be active between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay, so now coming back to our question for today is 15 number question, that is challenges you have faced during your project migration from SQL to Snowflake. Okay, now you have explained about your project. Now the interviewer might ask you what are the challenges you have faced during the migration. This question literally does not belong to a Tableau developer, but if still they are asking you, you can explain the challenges or difficulties a data engineer or a database team might have experienced, because the processing of data or the migration of the data from SQL to Snowflake has been done with the database team. But still, if this question is asked to you, you should not be looking at the corners, and you should not be empty handed when they ask you this type of question. So you should always be ready with every question or whatever question they ask you. So here are few challenges and few difficulties which you can mention, which has been occurred during the migration project. So the first thing is, and the most important thing, is stored procedure. Snowflake does not support stored procedure, but SQL supports stored procedures. So this transition from stored procedures to views, because views are supported by Snowflake. So what we have done, we have converted all our stored procedures into views. But here the stored procedures was having a difficult logic to be tackled and maintained. So that part was very time consuming, and it was very difficult to manage that. That is the first challenge. The second challenge is SQL dialect. There is a In our previous videos we have spoken about the SQL dialect and the Snowflake dialect. SQL works on T-SQL, okay, transactional query language, which is a slightly different from Snowflake dialect, which may cause an issue, or it might gives us a challenging situation where we need to modify our data, where we need to modify our logic to work on the migration. Then the third point which we can mention about data type mapping. Okay, now again, SQL provides some different data types, whereas Snowflake provides some different data types. Here is the example, that is nchar provided in SQL, whereas Snowflake provide Unicode. Then we have date time in SQL, but Snowflake provide timestamp. Then we have txt, text, in SQL, whereas in Snowflake we have string. And then we have money in SQL as a data type, but in Snowflake we have numbers. Okay, so this type of conversion was a challenging part which we have done, or which the database team might have done during the migration of the project from SQL to Snowflake. Then there are few more challenges which we will be discussing, that is the table structure. Again, when we say the SQL dialect is different, when we say that the conversion of stored procedures to view is difficult, when we say that there are data types which are different, so ultimately it boils down to a table, okay, where we are storing everything, every information in tables. Okay, so when we store it in table, again, if the data type is changed, if the structure is changed, ultimately the table structure is also going to be hampered. So because of that, it might have, we have to do a proper mapping or replication. We need to validate that whatever data we have replicated or we have taken from the SQL has to be validated, that okay, all the tables are correctly linked. And referential integrity, we will talk about the referential integrity and the primary keys, foreign keys, the relationships. Okay, so this type of data structuring has to be done when we are migrating. Then the second point, which we will be performance tuning. Once we do this type of changes into the structure, the referential integrity, the data types, the stored procedures, so there might be a query which we will be writing, and to optimize, to check the performance, how much time it is taking, what are the parameters, what are the filters, and what are the things which we are providing, and on the basis of that, how the results is coming from the system. That is needs to be done once that migration happens, after you transferred your data from SQL to Snowflake, because it's not a small data or not a single table. We have a billions and billions of records, and hundreds of data, hundreds of table with a complex structuring and complex relationships. So to replicate that is again a challenging part. Once we done that once we done that migration, we need to check, we need to validate that whatever query we are performing, is it giving a result faster or not. Ultimately, the result response time is to be measured in query performance, so we need to measure that part. Once that is again going to be a challenge for us, so once that is also tackled, the data transformation. Now everything is done, and if suppose this query performance or performance testing is failed, so in that situation we need to do a re-engineering of ETL process. Okay, we need to again go back, and now what is ETL we will see in a minute. But before that, okay, before that we need to manage, and if the performance testing is done very well, then we no need to do the ETL re-engineering. But if it is failed, we need to do a ETL re-engineering one more time. So now the question comes, what is ETL process? Okay, so ETL is nothing but extract, transform, and load. Okay, the meaning lives inside it. So this is the process. If you can see right onto the screen, that we have the first step is extract. Okay, in extraction it takes a different types of formats, files, and they are going to be stored into a central repository. Now how it is done, why it is done, why ETL is important. Okay, so first of all we will explain what is ETL process. So for ETL process there are certain tools available. Okay, there are tools available. It's a process. ETL is a process which is done for data warehousing. Okay, understand, ETL is a process. It's a process, it's not a tool. It's a process which is used for data warehousing. Now there are certain tools which are available to do it. The first one is Microsoft SSIS. Okay, so we have Microsoft SQL Server Integration Services, which looks something like this. Okay, where you can see it is nothing but a SQL Server UI which looks like. Then we have another tool which is Informatica, which is again a very famous tool. Then we have Apache Server, Apache Spark, which can be connected with MongoDB, Postgre. We have MySQL, Elastic, Redis, Kafka, and a number of things. Okay, so these are the three important tools which can be used for ETL processing. Now, how and why ETL process is important? Okay, let's assume we have explained about our project, that we are working on a healthcare domain project, and let's assume the client name is Global Healthcare. Okay, Global Healthcare, I'll give you a brief about it. Global Healthcare is a market player who provides services across the globe. Okay, now assume a situation where we have a hospital. In a hospital we have single patient. Okay, we have only single patient who's we have the basic information of the patient, what disease he is suffering from, whether he is having insurance or not, what is the doctor details, what is the room allotment history, what is his pre and post operative history, what is his medical history, what is his billing history, what is the demographic details of these patients, and everything we are storing into a database. Now imagine this for one patient. Okay, we have a patient ID and we have relational transaction each and every. So if he has paid in cash, that is a separate transaction, a separate entry will be there. If he had paid via card, then it is a separate entry. If he has paid, if he has an insurance status, that again will create a different entry. If he has a room allotment history, so every detail will have a single transaction, and every transaction, so on an average one patient will have hundreds of transaction for one hospital. Now imagine if one customer is if one patient is having hundreds of transactions. Imagine if we have hundreds of patients inside that particular hospital, we will have millions of records for one hospital. Now if we are providing services across the globe, then we will be having n number of hospitals, and n number of hospitals will have n raised to n number of patients. So it will again going to be millions, billions, trillions of records which we are going to manage. And each facility, we will call each hospital as a facility. So each facility will hold the data for its patients and all the details of staffs and services they provides, but they are not capable enough, because see what happens is they corresponding to every patient there will be hundreds of transaction, as we discussed, and every facility will be having billions of records. Now it is not possible to make them that data with them. Okay, so every day, if we talk about every day transaction, there are millions and trillions or billions and trillions of records or transactions which we have. If we keep that data with that particular facility, it will be difficult for them. Why? There are two reasons. The first is they are not liable to submit or keep that data with them, because it's a property of Global Healthcare, which is a market player which provides services across the globe. So that is not that. Okay, if facility is in Pune, they will keep their Pune data with them. If the facility is in Mumbai, they will keep Mumbai facility will keep their details with them. No, it is not like that. They need to submit it to a central repository. Okay, why? There are two reasons. First is liability. The second thing is if they store the data every day, imagine their situation where they need a physical server to manage all these details, because the performance of their devices, of their systems will be downgraded because of the load of the data. So to avoid that type of situation, what is the best option is to upload it onto a repository where it can be safe and it can be secure, plus it can be processed. Okay, so to do that, we need to have a synchronization process, which could be in the late in the evening or early in the morning. Like if we take an example of our WhatsApp, so we all use WhatsApp. So in WhatsApp, what happens is, if you have observed, at exactly 2 a.m the backup processing start, what happens? Whatever date, messages you have sent, photos you have sent, videos you have sent, all those backup has been created and a replica will be sent to the server. Now why it is done? To reduce the load on to the particular current system. That is the reason the replica is created, and at 2 a.m. the data is loaded to the central repository, or onto data is forwarded to the cloud. Same happens with all these systems in healthcare domain or in any domain, if you consider about data warehousing or ETL processing. Now still we are talking about the extraction part. Okay, we are understanding the importance of extraction, only the first part. Okay, now here we have understood that what is the importance of extraction and how the process is done in the once the transactions are settled, or when the transaction flow is very low, at that time the data is uploaded to the server. Okay, now why it is done? So now we will understand why. So the reason is, when stakeholders have this data, they will be easily understand, or they will be able to understand which facility is doing well, which no facility is doing well, what type of disease are affecting most, in what region, what is the sales, or how much no services, how much best services we are providing, what is the mortality rate, what is the growth rate, and each and every question related to the business they can identify. So that is the reason they are extracting information from all the regions. Okay, so now on a fixed time stamp we are doing the extraction process. Once that is done, this will be considered as a raw data. Now the extraction is done. Now the whole information is a raw data, still it is not ready to consume. So it will have different types of file. As I mentioned, as I have given you the example of WhatsApp, let's take an example of WhatsApp only, and we will simultaneously go with the our this example as well. So in this example, we know in daily we are doing some text message, we are sending documents, we are sending some images, we are sending some videos, we are sending some money. So these types of different files we are sending. So what happens is, it is like different file formats, different data types, so we are sending that. So in the late in the night, backup is created, so the raw data they just take it and they just process it. Okay, so same happens with the healthcare domain project, where if we have flat files, we have Excel files, we have CSV files, we have videos, we have audios, we have photos, we have structured data, semi structured data, or unstructured data, that all information is loaded, and that is raw data. Okay, once that raw data is loaded, extracted, now the transformation process happens. Now what is data transformation? So data transformation is happens on the basis of business logic, like what is the business requirement. So on the basis of that, we manage the data. Okay, business logic, then validation rules we will apply, that every patient age should not be less than 0. That is again a validation. Then we have every patient will have certain discount, but his amount should not be in negative. That is again a validation. Then data integrity. Okay, data integrity, primary key and foreign key relationship between two tables has to be there. If it is not, we will create that, we will try to find it out. Then referential integrity, and then there is a duplication removal. If there are two records which are coming as a duplicate, will remove one and will keep the original. Then error removing, if there is some error, we will remove that record, we will purify that data. If null values are there, we will handle it. If a patient's amount is null, if patient amount or patient billing amount cannot be null, it has to be 0 or it has to some number. So that is again the purification of the data or transformation of the data. We need to take care of that, and that we as a data engineer, okay, we as a Tableau developer don't do it. Our other team which is working on specially on the data, they do this type of purification of data, which we call as a transformation. This is the second process where the transformation is happening of all the data on the basis of the business logic. Then a data modeling part again comes into the picture over here, where we have snowflake schema and star schema. We have already discussed about it, what is star schema and what is snowflake schema. Okay, we have fact table, dimension tables, and the relationship between that. And tools which are available for doing the data modeling are Amazon Redshift, Google BigQuery, we have Snowflake, which we can be used for data modeling. Okay, or and organize data effectively. Then we have talked about the star schema and snowflake schema to manage the data. After, now once that is done, now once the data modeling, the data transformation is done, it will be uploaded simply onto the cloud. So this is the load process, where once the all the information, all the data is purified, arranged and managed according to their needs and business requirements, then and only then the data is uploaded to the warehouse or to the cloud, so that it can be further utilized for making some business decisions. So imagine, if if you meet a person who who lies a lot of time, okay, and if you are asking him about his age, about his marital status, about his work, how he work, and what is his uh, where he lives, his address, so he will lie to you. And if he is giving you wrong information, you will not get any idea about the same person. Okay, so your all the questions will go in vain. Okay, now if we or let's take a situation where police caught a thief, and if at the beginning the thief will lie that I have not stolen that purse, or I have not stolen that jewelry, and once police beats that thief, then he becomes loyal and he speak the truth. So the same thing happens over here. Once the details, once the data is coming into the extract mode, it is inconsistent, irreliable, we cannot rely on that data. So that beating, that cleaning, that washing is done. Once that is done, then that thief will speak the truth. And after, once he starts speaking the truth, then it is valuable for us to use that information to find out whether the where the jewelry is or where the purse is. Okay, the same thing happens over here. Once the ETL process is done, after that we as a Tableau developers come into picture, where we do using Tableau, Power BI, QLake, we use that information which is loaded onto the server, onto the cloud. We use that and create analytics on the basis of that. Okay, so that is how the ETL process is done, that is how the migration process is done, and that is where our role comes after the ETL process is done. Okay, I hope I have explained both the questions very well. If you have still any doubts, any questions or any queries regarding the topic which I have covered today, you can write me a comment and we will be discussing it into our live classes. Guys, if you have not subscribed us, please do subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. That's all for today. Thank you.